Um, in Sofia Central Prison, we're working up at 6:30 for roll call, and then the prison gives us. Then we get macaroni macaroni soup for about 7:30 for breakfast. Then there's another roll call when the guards change shift at 8:30, and then during the day we're allowed to go outside for an hour and a half in a caged pen. Um, and then we're given lunch at about 11:30, and then 4:30 we're given dinner, and then 8:30 is roll call and lock up, and we're locked back in the cells. So during the day we can move between the cells, and we have access to the corridor. And as far as an average day goes, that's it. There's no activity, there's no sport, there's nowhere to even participate in any sport. We've got some bitumen. We've got some bitumen that some of the prisoners try to play football on, and the bitumen is actually probably one of the biggest causes of broken bones and infections in all the prison. Um, the prison gives us no education, no school, nothing that we can leave prison with to show that we've been working or anything. Um, there are between 60 and 80 positions for workers in a prison with over 1,000 prisoners. So the only way you can reduce your sentence is by working, but there are only 80 positions for about 1,100, 1,200 prisoners. There's no clothing. The only bedding that people who don't have any money will receive is I can't explain. It's a very rough, rudimentary blanket, and one white sheet and one pillow. That's the only bedding you will be supplied with. No prisoners are given shoes, hygienic products, toilet paper. We're not given any hygienic products. We're not given any clothes or anything. No underwear, no shoes, socks, pants, t-shirts. We're not given jackets for the winter. It's a big problem for prisoners who don't have financial support don't have or can't have financial support from outside, from friends or family. I have seen Bulgarian prisoners going outside to the yard in the snow in -10, -15 conditions during the winter with, maybe 10, 15 centimeters of snow. They're going out in flip-flops because they don't have covered shoes to go out to use to go out with, and the prison doesn't supply any of that stuff. We're not given any games, board games. We have nowhere. We're not given any TVs or radios, or not even a deck of cards. Everything in this prison has to be supplied by family and friends, and even then the prison is reluctant to allow us to have those things, and it takes many years to accumulate those things. It takes years to especially for foreigners, it takes years to accumulate something like a board game and a TV and a radio and maybe a disc player. Um, uh, whenever a prisoner wants to try and be engaged in some type of activity or a hobby, for example, my gardening or something like that, I have a little garden, the prison automatically is trying to stop me from the beginning to the end. We're not protected by any rights, so even though obviously looking after some pot plants is a great psychological comfort, and obviously that helps the internal running of the prison by keeping prisoners calm and having something to do and something to put their energy into. Tomorrow the guards will come and break everything. They will just snap the plants out of spite. We're not protected anyway. We're not helped in any way. And the worst thing is that even prisoners with support and money from people outside, the prison is again reluctant to allow that person and the family and friends to use that support and money to do something constructive in the prison. For example, we're not. For example, I wanted to buy a rowing machine to donate. I wanted to donate a rowing machine for prisoners to use. Not allowed. A prisoner isn't allowed to donate to the prison. If we want to buy paint to paint our cells, because my cell hasn't been painted for at least 5 years. So if if we want to do that ourselves, not allowed. We're not allowed to buy paint, and we are offering. We will repair the prison. We will repair the cells. We will buy all the products, and we will do the work ourselves. No, 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 no. The floor in my cell is not sealed. It's a cement floor. It's not sealed, and so the cement dust rises into the air. As you can see on the photos from last year of my cell, the ceiling is falling. And I have written many requests to be allowed to bring in the sealer to seal the cement. No. I've asked, can I get the linoleum to cover the cell floor? No. So I've even asked, they turn off the electricity at 10:30 every night. From 10:30 to 6:30, there is no electricity, there's no light. All the cell is black. In the winter, we have to cover the windows. They're not PVC windows, they're wooden windows. So in the winter, we cover them with thick blankets to stop the heat escaping and stop the cold coming in. So there's absolutely no light. If in the summer, we have the light of the moon, and we have some floodlights outside the windows that reasonably light the room. You can see shadows, and all the beds in the room are completely sharp, made of iron. So during the night, when there's no light, you bump into that bed, bam, you cut open your leg. People cut open their heads, cut open their legs by walking into the furniture in the room. Obviously, you can't see the toilet during the night. There's no light. I said, can I pay to get an electric circuit board installed in my cell, outside the cell, so that I have electricity 24 hours a day. However, I pay for it myself. No, not allowed. And then Bulgaria is going through this economic crisis and the prison says we don't have money. But at one time the prison is saying we're not going to give you electricity, we're not going to give you lights through the night because we don't have enough money. But on the other hand, they're saying we're not going to allow you to pay for it either. So they cut off the two avenues. They say we are not going to, we cannot be responsible for your safety, for your material conditions because we don't have the money. And at the same time, we're not going to allow you to improve your prison conditions either through private means. So on the two ways we're screwed. But the biggest buildings come and go. No prisoner really cares about the concrete and the bricks and the mortar and the paint. What every prisoner cares about is leaving prison. Now, in all other countries in Europe, in Australia, in Britain, in Germany, there is a system for parole. In Bulgaria, there is no right for parole. It is a completely subjective process according to the director of each individual prison. We have no right we cannot request a parole. We cannot appeal for a parole. We cannot complain if no parole commission has been called. We will not even be called to a commission. When I say commission, I mean it's the director of the prison. There is no independent body. There is no external body that reviews parole. The director, if he wants, he will call you to a commission. And he will decide yes or no. I will release you or I will not release. I will recommend you for release or I will not recommend you for release. Then he will give you a recommendation to a Bulgarian court, and the judge decides again yes or no to release. However, you cannot yourself submit to the Bulgarian court. Only the director of a prison has the right to submit an application, a recommendation to the Bulgarian courts. You're completely at the mercy of the directors of the Bulgarian prisons, and there is no guidelines for who should be released and who should not be released, other than about 3 laws. You cannot be punished for 6 months. You have to have under half of your sentence left. Yeah, that's it. You cannot be punished, and you have to have under half of your sentence. Less than the statistics, the Bulgarian statistics are less than 1% of prisoners in Bulgaria are granted parole. 99% of prisoners are doing their time to the end.